Hey guys, welcome to Unbiased Rugby. So we're going to talk about the second game of the weekend, which was South Africa versus Australia. I think it was a bit of a blowout score in the end. I didn't think Australia played that bad. There were some really positives that they could have taken out of that game, but yeah, I think they were really outmuscled, and especially in the second half, really outmuscled. Yeah, the first half, it seemed like the South African defence was actually. Let me give you guys the score. I'm just going to get the stats up here so I can actually look at them. Obviously, South Africa winning that game 35-17. So that's an 18-point lead. I think that's two converted tries in a bit. So yeah, it was a bit of a hiding. The one thing I picked up in the first half was the South African defence seemed really off. I think they only tackled on about 77% over the entire game, which is not good enough. Coming up against the New Zealand side or side that's really good in attack, we're really going to be found wanting. A few players that stood out for me from the South African side, I really liked the way that Trevor Nyunkani played. I think he's really making himself the informed tight head for South Africa. I know we've got Frans Malherbe, who's the incumbent, but yeah, I think Trevor Nyunkani has to have put his hand up for the Rugby World Cup, and I'm sure he'll be on the plane for the Rugby World Cup. I thought Vincent Koch had a great game, but not as good as Trevor Nyunkani. Bongi Manambi, I think he had a bit of an okay game. It wasn't that great. Beast had an exceptional game. I really like to see Liza Gavoka come onto the field and play. I think it was his first game, so I'm hoping that he gets one more game, maybe against Argentina. I think he's going to end up playing against Argentina, and we're going to play a different team against New Zealand. Nice to see Evan and Lurt back. The loose trio, I really liked Flo. I thought he had an exceptional game. Peter Steph Totoya the guy is just incredible. I think he's a really exceptional player. And then we come to Herschel Jantjies. What a debut! Two tries on debut. That's just phenomenal. Elton Jantjies I thought he had a good game. I think he had a better game than most of us give him credit for before we started, because his Super Rugby form this season hasn't been that great, and I think he did stand up and he attacked really well. I think he's still our second choice. I don't see that changing anytime soon. Andre Esterhuizen was okay. Jesse Kriel was okay. Spoon Corsi, I think, one thing I like about Spoon Corsi is he seems very comfortable playing at international level. Some players you can see they're like a deer in the headlights, but he ever since he started playing, he's been very, very calm and he's been that kind of player. It just seems like the international scene really suits him, and very, very relaxed, very calm, makes good decisions at the right time, kicks at the right time. So yeah, I'm really, the more and more I see Spoon Corsi, the happier I am. I thought Warwick Kallant had a good game. I thought he kicked a little bit too much, but that's neither here nor there. Coming across to the Australian side, I thought their tight five was okay. I thought that two, Isaac Rodder and Rory Arnold, played really well at the lineouts. I think they've got some seriously tall timber in their lineouts. They can be proud of that. When it comes to the one thing I noticed, there were two serious tackles on Eben Etzebeth and Scott Brits, and the guys went off with HIAs. And I was just looking at the tackles, and it was just real bad tackle technique. And these are young guys that have come through and been hit in the head. You don't tackle someone this side of the leg and put your head that way. You're always gonna end up with a knee in your head. You've got to start teaching these guys to start tackling from where they are standing. So that tackle should be taken on the left shoulder, not the right shoulder. And so yeah, it was seriously bad tackle technique. And there's been a lot of talk from World Rugby about player safety, about all these things. But if you don't get the fundamentals right of tackle technique, the guys are always going to get concussions. You get concussions from tackles, and it's normally the person that's tackling. Because you're at that point, you're at the knee and you're at the hip. So and you've got to get the tackle technique right, and putting your head across is just is diabolical, and that's a fundamental basic skill. That's not for Michael Checker to be sorting out. That's for the schools to be sorting out before they even start into international rugby. So yeah, there was a little bit of an issue that I picked up. I don't think the loose trio from Australia lit the world on fire. Nick Groom, not Nick Groom. Trying to remember. I've got somebody complained the other day that I never prepare for any of these things. So I actually decided to put Nick White. I thought had a very, very good game for Australia. Bernard Foley has never been my favourite player, but he did what Bernard Foley does. He played fairly well. Simon Karevi, I still think, is the best number 12 currently playing in the Southern Hemisphere. I think the guy is absolutely incredible. And if he can have a really good 10 inside of him, I think he could be exceptional, absolutely exceptional. The guy he's completely wasted at the moment in that thing. Then the one thing I wasn't a big fan of the back three for Australia. I thought they didn't have such a great game. So yeah, I just think the Australian side, they were under a lot of pressure. Yes, in the first half they were there or thereabouts, and South Africa were doing some strange things in defence. They were rushing up really, really quickly, which was good for a little while, and then it stopped working. But what I really liked in the second half, they came out with a completely different game plan. They started playing really direct, very direct. When Frans Steyn came on, the whole game changed. It was very, very direct play, going straight into contact. But we're used to Andre Esthuizen going into contact, but going into contact, Frans Steyn was going into contact and making meters, which is what we don't see from Andre Esthuizen. So yeah, I think Frans Steyn's put his hand up for the Rugby World Cup. I think he's got the experience and the skill to be able to do that. I was thinking about it. A few, like last year, we were worried about who was going to be our second number 9. Now we've got Herschel Yankees, we've got Kobus Reinach. We've got some really good. I was worried about Tated last year. Now we've got Frans Malherbe, Vincent Koch, Trevor Nkani. That's serious depth. Loosehead, we've got the Beast, Stephen Kitsoff, Lisa Gaboko. Hooker, we've got Malcolm Hawks. So the depth has really been created on the South African side. Sorry guys if I'm talking a lot about South Africa. It's just it's the team. It's the team I support, but I'll try to be quite unbiased towards Australia. The yellow card that on the Australian side, yeah, I think it could be a little bit hard done by, but it's a game. Rugby's a game of laws, and it's interpreted in the moment. And in the moment, the ref thought it was dangerous. It was after the tackle. So yeah, these things happen. It does happen in this game. Andre Esthuizen deserved his yellow card. A long shot. I think that was just real stupid play on his part. It's a pity I didn't see Dylan Lates, and I didn't see some players come into the field. But yeah, overall, I was pretty happy. I was fairly nervous before the game. In these last couple of years, I've been quite nervous being a Springbok supporter. You just never know what's going to happen. And for a first time in a long time, we didn't go 21 points down and then have to try eke out a win at the end. We actually started playing really well from the beginning. Issues from an Australian point of view, I think their front row is under serious pressure, and I think when they go play Argentina, they're going to come seriously short. The Argentinian props. It was their first game this weekend, and when they come next weekend, they're going to really, really apply the pressure to Australia. I think they're going to really come under a lot of pressure. If Australia couldn't handle South Africa's back line, they're never going to handle Argentina. So yeah, I'm hoping they can turn it around, but you can say a lot about Australian rugby. They've always been able to pull up a side together to be able to compete at Rugby World Cups. And I still think those players on the field can compete at a Rugby World Cup. There's something fundamentally wrong at the top that's wrong in that side. We all know. I'm not going to mention his name, but what can they do right now? This close to the World Cup. Overall, I'd give the South African performance a 7. The Australian performance a 5.5. yeah, so yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed the game. I enjoyed it because I'm a South African, and I enjoyed the game because we won quite convincingly. I didn't enjoy the game. I thought the tackle stats were quite low from South Africa, and if Australia were just 2 or 3% better, they would have really, really hurt us. And if those 2 tries had come through, that would have painted a completely different picture of that game. They would have gone into the second, into half time, 24 points to 10. That's a different 24 points to 14, I think. That's a completely different scoreline than what they actually went through. So yeah, overall happy, but there are rooms for improvement. But listen, guys, put down your thoughts of what you thought of the game down below, and who stood out for you, who was a really good player, who do you think needs a little bit more work, and what do you think of next week's game? Listen, guys, have a great week. Chat soon. Bye.